Hi guys, I'm going to do this extra review. I hope that your midterms are going well so far and that you're able to devote just a little bit of time to this tonight. Okay, so the question number one says, if f of x is equal to 4x minus 7, what is the value of f of negative 10? So you can totally use your calculator for this just by substituting in a negative 10. You would, whoa, where'd that go? You would put a negative 10 in for x. So 4 times negative 10 subtract 7 would equal negative 47. And again, you can just enter that on your calculator. All right, so solve for x. So I'm going to combine the like terms on the left side. And now I'm going to combine the like terms, but since they're on opposite sides, I have to use an inverse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3x. And I'm just doing that so that everything is positive. So that would give me 12 equals 9x minus 24. The opposite of subtracting is adding. That gives me 36 equals 9x. And then divide by 9. So x equals 4. You can check this on your calculator by doing substitution. You can also, if you type the left side of the equation into y sub 1, the right side of the equation into y sub 2, you can find where they cross. And it would be the x value of where they cross. So you can also use the calculator for this. All right, find the area. So I'm going to use the area model. So 3x plus 5 for one side, 2x subtract 3 for the other. You're going to multiply to find the partial products. And that is the answer. However, we write the answer in standard form, which would mean highest exponent to lowest and combining the like terms. So that would be my final answer, which is a trinomial. And you can check this on the calculator. Okay, so whenever you have more than one letter, you need more than one equation. This is called a system. I'm going to do the elimination method because right here, I have additive inverses. So those are going to cancel or become 0. 0 is the additive identity element, which is the answer you get when you add inverses together. So that gives me 5x divided by 5. So x equals 1. Now finding that might be enough for multiple choice, but the correct answer would be the x and the y. So I'm going to just do some substitution. And that would give me 2 times 1 is 2. The opposite of adding is subtracting. And then the 3, the coefficient, is multiplying, so I'm going to divide. So that gives me y equals 2. You can also write this as an ordered pair. And you can check this on your calculator. Okay, when comparing rate of change, we use slope. And that's our slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, the slope formula. You can also use linear regression on the calculator. That would be stat calc linreg. So the sign doesn't matter when you compare slope because slope is really like steepness, or if you want to think of it, you can think of it as like speed because it's a rate. The sign is a direction. If I'm traveling 75 miles per hour going south and you're traveling 85 miles per hour going north, you're traveling faster than me. It doesn't matter that we're going north or south. So here, if I was comparing these two equations, first of all, they're y equals mx plus b, which makes them linear. And I would say that this one has a greater rate of change because 2 is bigger than 3. And I would also say that this has a higher y-intercept because negative 2 is greater than negative 3. And you can totally use your calculator to check that. All right, find the product. Product means multiply. I'm going to use the area model only because a lot of you are doing the area model. And anyone who's not doing the area model, you can pretty much follow along anyway. Now remember, to find those partial products, you're multiplying. But to get your final answer, you're combining the like terms, which is technically addition. Oop, that should be a -2, so that's going to change that. Hold on one second. And again, you can use your calculator to check this. So, if you're using your calculator, you would pick up a sign error that I almost made. Okay. So again, you can check this on your calculator. Okay, I'm going to use the pattern for this, but you can use the area model if you want. This is a perfect square trinomial, so I happen to know this pattern. All right, but you could always use the area model if you want, and you can check this on your calculator. Anytime you're squaring a binomial, you get a perfect square trinomial as an answer. Okay, so convert 7 yards into meters. So you'd have to use your reference sheet. And let me just look. Gotta look it up. Okay, so on my reference sheet, it says that I'm converting 7 yards. So that's a given. And it says that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So since I have yard in the numerator, I put the other yard in the denominator so they cancel. Okay, so then 1 foot is 12 inches. And then 39 inches is 1 meter. And you're just going to use the reference sheet to look that up. I happen to have written that down. You could go to centimeters and then back to meters, anything you want. So now let me just multiply. 7 times 3 times 12 divided by 39. So it's 6.4615 meters. So it's approximately 6.5 meters. Approximately. All right. So simplify. When I'm trying to simplify a radical, I'm looking for a perfect square and then the other factor. So I'm going to choose 100. And I'm choosing the 5 because 100 times 5 is 500. The 100 is the perfect square, so that simplifies to 10, and the 5 stays. And you can check this on your calculator. All right, you can also use your calculator by hitting y equals x squared, and then going to your table, and that'll give you a list of your perfect squares. And you probably want to start looking at your perfect squares at 1. And those are your perfect squares, so that'll help you. Okay, if you're not sure about the factors, you could always take the number that you're trying to find the factors of, and you take that number and you divide it by x. And so then in the other side of my table, it'll give me factors. And you're going down this list trying to find a perfect square. Okay. What property is shown? So it looks to me like the 7 and the 3x switched order. So that would be commutative. Okay, solve. So this is a system. So I'm going to do elimination again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by 3 because that would give me -3y and +3y additive inverses. So I just copied the top one, and I do that because you know how we always like to get those columns going? So to me, it was just about the columns. Those canceled, so I get 5x equals 55. Divide by 5, and I get x equals 11. Again, that might be enough for multiple choice, but technically, Oh, I added wrong. Hold on one second. Eraser again. Boy, I'm so glad I'm picking up these mistakes quickly. Sometimes you don't always pick them up. You have to pick them up on your check. So that's 45, which gives me 9. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and 9 plus 2 is 11. And again, you can check this on your calculator. Okay. All right, so graphing. May or may not be a number line on the test. Honestly, I don't remember, but they're not hard to draw. You just have to add in scale. So I'm going to start at -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. The key here is open circle for something that doesn't have an equal bar and closed circle for something that does. That's the real big idea. All right, feel free to pause the video anytime you need a break. I'm going to try to keep going and make this one video, so it'll be a little bit longer than we usually have, but I think that would help you. All right, so every point is x comma y, so I'm going to substitute, and that's true. So 8 is less than 4 plus 3. 8 is not less than 7, so that's false. So remember, for something to be true, the system, it has to be all true. So this would be a no because it's not all true. All right, slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So -10 minus 2, which is -12, and you can use your calculator. And then 5 minus a -1, which ends up being 6. So the answer is -2. And you can use your calculator for this. For this one, number 13, if you wanted, you could have drawn the picture. Okay, so solving for h. So that means I want h equals. So I'm going to move the 1/3, the pi, and the r squared. So to move the 1/3, I'm going to multiply by 3. And I usually start with getting rid of the fractions. It's just a good strategy. And you could either just use the reciprocal or a lowest common denominator. And now I just have to divide, because when anything is like completely attached, that's like it's all one term, then it's always going to be division to get rid of it. So that gives me h equals 3v over pi r squared. Again, on multiple choice, sometimes just knowing what to do gives you the answer. All right, so I'm going to put a little star here because this is the big money question. That's the 6-pointer. So you definitely want to do that. Okay, and understand that. So the thing that I do for these is I make one table for each piece. I find that easier. So since there's 3 pieces, I'm going to make 3 tables. So I'm going to start with this first piece, and it says for x's that are less than -4. So that would be numbers like -6, -5, and -4, numbers which are less than -4. And then it says use x subtract 2. So that would give me -8, -7, and -6. Okay, because there's only one endpoint that is going to have an arrow on one end and a open circle on the other. It's an open circle because there is no equal bar. So it's basically going to be a ray. All right, so for the next part, the y part is really simple. It's just going to be a bunch of 5s. But I have to go from -4 to 2. -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And these are all going to be 5s. So that's going to be a horizontal line. Okay, so I'm going to have an closed circle and an open circle. Where's 5? Right here. Closed circle. Boo, doo, 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 doo. Open circle. And that's supposed to be straight. It's a little crooked on the screen, but it's supposed to be straight. It's supposed to be horizontal. Okay, so now when x's are greater than 2. So 2, 3, 4 is good. And remember, these are x and y's. X and y's. All right, so double it and add 1. Double it and add 1. Double it and add 1. Also pay attention to the slope. The slope is 2, so it should be increasing by 2s. 5, 7, 9, increasing by 2s. Oh, that's kind of cool. It fills it in. So now it becomes connected. Does not have to be connected, but it can be connected. So that's kind of cool. And that's going to also be array. All right. That's called a piecewise function if you want to do a little more work on that. All right, so here we go. We're a little more than halfway there. Find b minus c. So remember, when you're subtracting, you're changing the signs of everything being subtracted. So I'm just going to copy the b, change the sign, change the sign, change the sign. Change the signs of everything being subtracted. And that's based upon the fact that subtraction is adding the opposite. Subtraction is adding the opposite. Okay? And you can check this on the calculator. Let me just slide back. You can check 16 on the calculator, but it is kind of hard. And I did put calculator on the other ones. Okay. All right, so this next one, you can completely do this on the calculator. You can enter your expression, the whole thing, obviously, in your y sub 1. You could also just substitute in an 8. And you just type it in. Do make sure you use parentheses, especially if you have negative numbers. And you should get 9 1/3. It might come out looking different, but it would be equal to 9 1/3. Which would result in a rational solution? Well, definitely the first one, because rational plus rational is always rational. The set of rational numbers is closed. Okay. You can also just use your calculator to double check that. This is going to be irrational because anytime you add rational plus irrational, you always get irrational. And you can also use your calculator. You're going to get a non-terminating, non-repeating decimal. So you can totally check all this on your calculator. This is going to give you the whole number 6, which is rational. So we end up with 2 answers that are rational. And this one you can totally just put in your calculator as well. Okay, how many solutions does this have? So with the distributive property, I get 6x plus 8. And by combining the like terms here, I get 6x plus 12. Those will end up being parallel, which means no solution. It basically boils down to the fact that 8 doesn't equal 12, which you all know. All right, so this, it's a graph. It's going to be the line and the shading. But first, you got to put it in y equals form. So the opposite of subtracting 4x is adding 4x. And then I have to divide by -2. Be careful when you divide by a negative because you got to flip that inequality. Okay, so now I have a negative slope and a negative y-intercept. Okay, and you can use your calculator to totally help you with this. All right, I hope mine comes out not as sloppy as it's starting here, but... And remember, bring a ruler, because if you bring a ruler, it makes this so much easier. All right, so this right here, dotted line and shade up. Okay. So my dotted line, and I'm whoops. I was trying to shade up, not move the paper up. Shade up. Okay, anything in the shaded area is part of the solution set. Anything in the shaded area is part of the solution set, which is y equals -2x subtract 5. You can also bring colored pencils if you want. That could help you. Is that a function? Yes. Each input has only one output. Each input has only one output. Okay, so I'm trying to cancel. So I got feet cubed. I can't see 2 tops. So I would want to flip the 60 minutes. So I would really want it to be 1 hour. Oh, that does not look like the word hour. I would really want it to be 1 hour and the 60 minutes on the bottom, because then I could cancel the minutes with the minutes. Okay? So I would want to change it to that. Write in standard form and name the leading coefficient. All right, so I have to simplify first, which is the distributive property. So that is going to give me minus 3x to the fourth and minus 18x squared. Okay, so the 7x to the fourth here and the negative 3x to the fourth here add together or combine to make 4x to the fourth. And now the negative 18x squared and the positive 2x squared become negative 16x squared. And then I've got that 4x and I've got that plus 9. So that would be standard form, and 4 would be the leading coefficient. Graph this on a number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Open, closed. Okay, solve and graph on a number line. So a little bit more work. All right, so distributive property. Make sure you write plus 12, negative times a negative. Combine the like terms. Opposite of adding is subtracting. And now I have to divide by 3. Okay. So since the 3 is positive and I'm dividing by the 3, it doesn't reverse the symbol. It doesn't matter that the 18 is negative. It's really all about that. All right, so on the number line, I'm going to do negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, close circle, and it's going to be array. Okay? All right, not much more. All right, so domain is always the set of x's and range is always the set of y's. So domain goes from left to right and range goes from low to high. Okay, so if I go all the way to the left and then all the way to the right, all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and then low to high, so I think that's negative 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also write those in interval notation, which would use square brackets. Okay, sketch that and state the vertex. I will tell you that on the test, you're going to do an actual graph, so make sure you plot at least 5 points. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the calculator for a second. I'm going to hit y equals, and I'm going to clear out the stuff I already put in there. Right, so you hit math, arrow over ones for number, and then hit enter, and you're typing x subtract 4, and then outside you're you're putting plus 2. Okay, so you hit the word graph to see your picture, and pay attention to your vertex, because it is the most important point, and my vertex is 4, 2. All right, pay attention to your vertex. So my vertex is 4, 2. Also, you can see the vertex in the equation, and that vertex happens to be a minimum because it's at the bottom. All right, so just take note that on the test, you're doing it on an actual graph, so you would maybe want to copy 5 points for your table, and I would put 4, 2 in the middle. It just makes it easier. So always look for that symmetry and put your vertex in the middle. Okay, Again, on the actual test, there's going to be a grid given to you, so it'll be much neater than what I'm about to do. All right. So during a snowstorm, the neurologist accumulating snow for the first 3 hours. The snow fell at a constant rate. Then it stopped for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a half hour. And then it started again for the next 3 hours. So I'm doing 6.5 hours. And I kind of just do that so I know what to set up over here. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. And then the snow is going to be 2 inches per hour for 3 hours. So that's 6 inches, stops none, and then half an inch for three. So it's going to be a little less than 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One. And again, this is going to be set up for you. So it'll obviously be neater and it'll be easier to do. So this is inches and this is time in hours. Okay, so it starts at 0, 0, and then it's at a constant rate, which means linear, 2 inches per hour. So 2 inches, another 2 inches, another 2 inches. And this is hopefully going to be straight, but you guys bring a ruler. All right, it stopped for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is half of an hour. And then it started again at a half inch for the next 3 hours. So I'm going to go to 4.5, and I'm only going to go up to 6.5. And then I'm going to go to 5.5, and that'll bring me to 7. And then I'm going to go to 6.5, and that's going to bring me to 7.5. Again, it'll be easier on the test. All right. So good luck. You don't need luck. You just need to take your time, study, and check your work with a calculator. All right. And remember, this is for you. Use this to know what you need to practice and what you're really good at. And, focus on the positive. There's a lot of things that you're really good at, and you just want to showcase them. All right. I hope you have a good night, and I hope this helped you a little bit.